sign of spring. The return of the 98.5 The Sports Hub Golf Club.
What's happening on tour? What courses do you need to play this season? What's the latest must-have equipment to improve your game?
Saturday mornings at 7. Start your weekend at the Golf Club with Hardy.
Listen on the go with the new 98.5 The Sports Hub app. The Golf Club on Boston's home for sports.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Zolak and Bertrand.
Do they pose a threat?
98.5 The Sports Hub.
It's meant to me the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. When I was 10, 11 years old, that's when I decided I wanted to be a radio announcer.
Brogan calls signal. Brogan goes back to pass. Brogan has time. He fires. Complete to Francis. 20, 15, 10, 5, and he's in. He's in for a touchdown.
I remember listening to the Rose Bowl game on a January 1st at home in Fairhaven. It was cold. It was snowing. And Mel Allen was doing the Rose Bowl. And from then on, that was what I focused on. My life was a lifelong dream was to be a play-by-play man.
Stabler is back to pass. Here comes the rush again. He gets it away, and it's incomplete at the 5-yard line. A penalty marker is down, roughing the passer. First down, Oakland with 52 seconds left.
When I was a kid, I didn't learn to speak English until just before I went to the first grade. Because my grandfather lived with us, and he didn't speak English, so in the house we spoke Portuguese. So they taught me to speak English just before I went to the first grade, and I find it ironic that 60-some-odd years later, I'm going into the Patriots Hall of Fame for my ability to speak English.
Bledsoe back to throw. Looks, floats to the end zone. Touchdown, the Patriots win to Kevin Turner. Drew Bledsoe's third touchdown pass of the game in overtime to Kevin Turner. And the Patriots come back from a 20-0 deficit.
Let me assure you, it was never a job.
At midfield, all they got to do is tackle him. The ball game is over. The Patriots win. They have won the Eastern Division.
It was an honor. It was a privilege. And I'm delighted to have been able to do it for all that time.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's the American Football Conference championship game between the Cinderella New England Patriots and the big bad Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm happy to report that despite all the prognostications of doom, the Patriots have shown up here today and will take the field against the Steelers.
You know, you try to be as objective as possible, but on the other hand, I never wanted to leave any doubt in anybody's mind that I wanted the Patriots to win. In my heart, I'm rooting for the Patriots, and I want that to come across. And I think it does.
45-yard field goal attempt coming up. Snap, ball down. Kick up on the way, and it is good. It is good. 45 yards. Adam Vinatieri kicks it through the snow, and we're tied at 13-13 with 27 seconds left to play.
After that game that week, I was being interviewed on some radio station. The guy said, was that the highlight of your broadcast career to this point? And I said, yes, absolutely. Did you ever think you can top that? And I said, only if we win the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks on the last play of the game. And don't you know it?
Oh, wow.
We win the Super Bowl on the last play of the game.
On the far hash mark, angle to the left for Adam Vinatieri. 48-yard field goal attempt. Set to go. Snap, ball down. Kick up. Kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! It's good! Adam Vinatieri booms a 48-yard field goal, and the game is over, and the Patriots are Super Bowl champions! The Patriots are Super Bowl champions! The best team in the National Football League!
Then you hug Gino, right?
Yeah. Yep. And we both kind of just sat there and said, my God, you know, our team just won the Super Bowl.
Oh, baby! Oh, what a finish! What a finish, Ducaroo! Oh, my God!
Today, quite frankly, is the high point of my broadcast career of more than 50 years. To be selected to the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Touchdown, Patriots! Tom Brady to Randy Moss, and they each have set NFL records on the go-ahead touchdown.
Thank you for appreciating my work.
Back-to-back World Championships, 3 out of 4. Yes, it's a dynasty.
Thank you for all the good things you've said about me.
16-0.
And for those of you who didn't like my work, can't please everybody all the time, despite the fact that you're wrong.
So the Patriots season has come to a close here in the AFC Championship game. And with it has come to a close my 36 years of broadcasting Patriots football. This is Gil Santos thanking you all for 36 wonderful years.
And the question was, can you sum up your life in 6 words? And I thought about that for 10 seconds, and I said, absolutely. I can sum up my life in 6 words. I am a very lucky man. Thank you. Thank you.
Damn. Nice work, Jim.
Wow.
Nice work.
Wow. That's your best ever, Jim.
Fantastic,
You've done
Jim.
some damn good ones over the years. But when you, cap a guy's life off, wow, still can't. Man, feels like he's next to you calling games. It's tough. I mean,
Yeah, can you tell me the story about
oh God,
him flipping off John Madden's handler? Because it's my favorite Gil story of all time.
Okay.
My favorite Gil story ever.
Gil will never admit that. He doesn't want anybody to know he smoked. And he died, and he'd go around the corner, and he would do this and that because some people that smoke, they don't. If you don't want people to see it,
except everybody of his age in radio,
yes,
smoked. They all did. Everybody did.
He wouldn't never have that voice if he didn't smoke. Okay, that helped his voice. He had that.
They all
that
did.
deep delivery.
They all did it.
So as you know, because you sit behind us during the broadcast, Bob Sosi sits way to my left, and for people that go to games, you look up in the window, and where Bob stands now is where Gil sat and did the games from. And right directly on the other side of that glass that separates the 2 booths, the TV booth is right next to us. And for the guy that's doing play-by-play, if it's like Al Michaels or Jim Nance, you sit directly in the middle of that big, massive booth. We have the 2 biggest booths in the stadium. The color guy, like Tony Romo, going back to the day where I'm describing this with Gil Santos, sitting in the play-by-play spot, and directly on the other side of the glass was John Madden. It was actually John Madden's handler, who would write things down on a piece of paper, hand them to John.
Yeah, like his little assistant there.
Yep.
Producer, giving him notes, feeding him information throughout the game.
So this was like before the game. Gil would sort of, you couldn't run outside to smoke because then you're out in the crowd, people talking.
Go.
You hurry up and you light a quick one, and you kind of hang out the window and you let it go out because they didn't want to bug anybody in the booth. So they come in, meaning the handler, or they sent a person that was working. I guess it was NBC or whoever the hell they were doing the games for at that time. And he came into our booth and, would you mind please putting the cigarettes out? We're not smoking because it's bugging John. And so, of course, Gil lights another one up. I think this might have been at halftime. And then you get over there, and it's the handler tapping the glass and pointing to Gil. And he gives him the cut sign. Please cut the smoke. And Gil does this right back there. Taps it. You're number 1, pal. And stood up, and I said, yes! Yes! But that's Gil. But what a gentleman. You even hear his delivery right there, his acceptance to the Patriots Hall of Fame. You didn't know that story, too, that he didn't speak English until right before first grade. Man. I got one more for you, too. I got a typewriter story.
Good. Why don't we get to that in 90 seconds? Okay. And I didn't know Gil like you knew Gil. I just knew Gil to say hello. How you doing? Just in passing. But I knew Gil like our listeners knew Gil.
Yeah.
As a fan. As someone on the other side of the radio.
And he gave me 2 pointers on calling games that he said, I know you're going to be doing this for a long time. He says, I think you're pretty good. But I'm going to give you 2 tips, and you better stick to them.
We'll get to all this coming up right after these headlines. Don't go anywhere.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, Boston's home for sports is WBZ-FM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub, the Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins over the Maple Leafs 3-1 last night in Toronto. They're up 3-1 in their best of 7. Here's Brad Marchand talking about the assist from David Pastrnak that resulted in a go-ahead goal for the Bruins in the second period last night.
No, he makes that play a lot. He's a phenomenal playmaker, and he make a lot of plays when he's kind of looking you off. So he made a phenomenal play. I kind of figured that it'd be coming that way. He's done that a few times this year, so a phenomenal play by him.
Bruins can wrap things up tomorrow night. Puck drops 8 o'clock. Saturday night at the TD Garden. Celtics have a chance to go up 3-0 in Milwaukee tonight. John Henson is doubtful for the Bucks due to back soreness. We'll get the latest from Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell. We have a bit of a late one tonight. It's a 9:30 tip, so pregame 9 o'clock here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Red Sox completed their sweep of the Angels in Anaheim with an 8-2 win last night. Tonight, the road trip continues as they start a 3-game set against the A's in Oakland. Drew Pomerantz is the starting pitcher for the Red Sox, and longtime voice of the Patriots, Gil Santos, passed away yesterday on his 80th birthday. Play-by-play man for the team for 36 seasons and 744 games, inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame in 2013. Headlines are brought to you by Nairobi. At Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses, enjoy leather furniture for just $25 a month with next-day eye delivery from Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses. I'm Hardy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in 30 minutes.
From slam dunks.
Wow! And if you think a unicorn is rare.
Oh, my God.
To buzzer beaters.
Tice throws it down with two hands.
The home of the Boston Celtics. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Making the workday a little more entertaining.
Floppity flop flop flop.
It's Zo and the Beetle on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Wow, we give Louth all that credit for that montage, and now I don't know what's going on.
Well, he's a train wreck.
Yeah, I mean,
breaks.
what happened there?
Why don't you play a sound effect, Jim?
Jim, play
your patented sound effect.
Play somebody.
What I was going to play was going to come up. This is the one that Beetle tweeted out last night.
Oh, please.
Towards the tailback in the eye. The season probably riding on this play. First and goal to go at the Buffalo Bill 1-yard line. Bledsoe ducks under center. Awaiting the snap. First and goal in motion right to left is Purnell. Bledsoe, play action fake. End zone. Touchdown! Ben Coach! The Patriots win! How about Drew Bledsoe? How about Drew Bledsoe? Takes the Patriots 82 yards. Wins on the game's final play. Drew Bledsoe does it again.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I tweeted that one out last night, which is my all-time favorite call of his. Because I was there and going home in the car and having memory of how did it sound on the radio, putting it on as you drive away from the stadium and it being played over and over and over again. That is my personal favorite. When I was happy to find out that it's the personal favorite of other people that had tweeted me last night after I had sent that out, because Zo,
of all the plays, wow, okay,
yeah, and I mean, game-winning play, last play of a game. I mean, what else could be better as a play-by-play announcer than to be calling a winning play when a team wins on the last play of the game? And obviously, after that came winning a Super Bowl on the very last play of the game, which is what he said would be a highlight. If you win on the very last play, that very last play element to a call is very important. So I would say, I had met Gil a bunch of times and said hello to him every now and again when he'd be in and around the station. I didn't know him like you did, but I knew him like everybody else did, which is Sundays in the fall on the radio doing the Patriots games for almost my entire lifetime. At times when games were blacked out, and you couldn't even get the game on TV, you'd listen to Gil and Gino. And by the way, we haven't even mentioned Gino in all of this. I mean, those two guys are sort of synonymous with one another, right? I mean, it's not just Gil, it's Gil and Gino, right?
Yeah.
Gil and Gino together.
It's that combination.
That team aspect
30
of it
years, man.
Was, so incredible and so special that those guys did it together for so long. But he was the soundtrack of the Patriots, the voice of the Patriots. You hear his voice, and that's what you instantly think of. And he's the only guy that I can ever remember. If you weren't turning down the TV to turn up the radio, like we talk about now, right? We always bitch and complain about the TV announcers and how They don't know what they're talking about.
They hate the Patriots.
They're speaking to the casual fan. They don't know what the hell is going on. We say, turn down the TV, turn up the radio. That went on for years with Gil and Gino. And I would say that even if you hadn't turned down your TV to turn up your radio, he's the only guy I can ever recall where you'd say, something big just happened. If you had just watched Vinatieri make the kick in the snowball, if you had just watched Vinatieri kick the winning kick in the Super Bowl, you instantly wanted to know, how did it sound on the radio? And I don't know if anybody else, and you know what? I'm a little younger, on the younger end of things, so I don't know if that was true with Johnny Most. I don't know if that was true with Bob Wilson. And those guys, by the way, all three of those guys at one time were all employed by the same place, WBZAM. That's
amazing.
Which is incredible because those are legendary voices, and obviously Gil is one of those. But it's the only guy I can ever remember saying, how did it sound on the radio? What was the call? What was the call on the radio?
I remember running out of the locker room, and we used to have this old wooden horse up there in the old parking lot where the old pro shop was. It was a trailer, basically, the old stadium. And we would tailgate down the bottom where all the cars would be. And I remember rushing to get in a car. If you played, and if you had a big game, you couldn't wait to hear the highlights on the radio. It means something to the players. It really did. Like, Jim played that cut. You never forget that. But when you're juiced, you're coming off a big game, you love sitting in traffic to what you're saying, listening to postgame, and then rerunning the highlights. People will also remember Gil did the morning sports. Why
don't we go to the phones? We have someone who just called in. We did not expect this. We did not know this person was going to call in. We obviously offer our condolences to him and his entire family. It is the son of Gil Santos. Mark Santos joins us now.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mike, Beetle and Scott. How are you doing? It's a very tough day, but I feel Gil would want this. As Scott knows, I've been at the Hall of Fame for about 10 years, and I gave a bunch of interviews yesterday, and I know my dad would want this. And fire away. Anything you want to ask me, any stories, I'll be more than happy to give you some time.
Now, first of all, Mark, you know how much your dad has meant not only to me, but to the station, to the broadcast, and to Patriots fans over the years. I mean, there's not a highlight that you won't hear years from now and still have the same type of meeting. But I'm so glad you called me and reminded me and gave me the update on your dad that I had the chance to talk to him about 2 weeks ago. And he sounded great, man. He went through that Eagles game with me. And he can still call games if he wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Scott. I think, as a lot of you know, my dad, his health started to deteriorate after Super Bowl 46, the second loss to the Giants. Within 3 weeks, they were reading him his last rites, and he bounced back. A lot of this was attributed to smoking. My dad smoked for 61 years. Unfiltered Camels, probably one of the worst cigarettes you could smoke, and it just caught up to him, Scott. And my dad was a tough guy. He bounced back. February the 15th, he had a fall at home, and he was never right after that. He was in the hospital for 3 weeks. You talked to him when he got home. He had a fall again this past Sunday. He celebrated his 80th birthday yesterday. My parents celebrated the 57th wedding anniversary yesterday. And the stress from my mom hasn't been well. As you know, she's had muscular sclerosis since 1993, and she's trying to do a lot of things. And he couldn't breathe yesterday. I wasn't there. My niece was there, and it just basically, he couldn't fight anymore. He fought the good fight, and it's just a shame that on his 80th birthday and then their wedding anniversary, my parents' wedding anniversary, this tragedy of unspeakable terms happened. But I think you speak for all the fans in New England, Beetle, everybody. My father was a fan first and foremost, whether it was the Patriots, the Celtics, BC basketball, PC basketball. My dad did it all. Penn State football, he was a fan. He always said he worked in the toy department of life. With all the bad news going on today in the world, you think about professional sports, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars to play a game, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, soccer, the NHL. And my dad did that, and he fulfilled his dream of broadcasting for almost 60 years. And but above all, anything else, my father's legacy will always be the voice of the New England Patriots, and I can take solace in that. And I'll never forget the day he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. You were there, Beetle was there, and when Jonathan introduced my father, and Mr. Kraft introduced Teddy, that Teddy and Gil went at the same time in July of 2013, and Jonathan Kraft, right before he finished his speech, I'll never forget this, and he said, "Others may follow down the line, but there's only one voice of the Patriots, and that's Gil Santos." And I've had more people come up to me over the years and say, "Your dad was the Johnny Most of the Patriots," and that's the best compliment anybody can give him. And he was a tremendous guy, tremendous father, and he loved doing what he did, and he loved the Patriots. And but you like I said, guys, fire away, ask anything you want.
Well, you know what? Before we let you go, Mark, for a lot of people, football Sundays, growing up watching it with their dad, you watched it with your dad and had one of the best seats in the house, being behind him for a lot of those games. What stands out to you? What's your best memory of being in that booth with your dad?
Well, I started going to games. I'm 54 now. I started going to games when I was 6 at the old Harvard Stadium. The best memories I have are the early days of Schaefer Stadium with Jim Plunkett and Randy Vataha and all the different cronies that would come into the press box to see my father, Billy Sullivan, Pat Sullivan, Will McDonough, all those sports writers, all those guys. I got to go to training camp in the early 70s. I was a ball kid in the 70s, and that's my greatest memory. And I'll tell you, Mark, this past year when we inducted Raymond Claiborne into the Hall of Fame, I can remember being in the party at the Cross Pavilion. I introduced my girlfriend to a lot of older players from the 70s, and my dad wasn't able to attend because of his health, because of him being on the oxygen. But to have Sam Cunningham and John Hamm and Stanley Morgan and Grogan and Vataha and John Smith and all these guys, some of these guys I hadn't seen in years. Cunningham I hadn't seen in like 30 years. You sound just like your dad. You look just like him. How's he doing? That really means so much to me. And then obviously the teams of the Millennium, the 3 Super Bowls. The Kraft family has been tremendous to my family, tremendous to Gil. But the memories of the early days of the 70s, those memories I'll always cherish, because those teams weren't good. But there's a reason why the Patriots have a Hall of Fame. It's not because of so much the great teams they had. They had some terrible teams, but they had a lot of great players that were great guys. And my father just loved being around the camaraderie, whether it was with Scott, Gino. He just loved it. He just loved it, and it was his life.
All right, Mark. Obviously, best to your mom, and I'll be in touch here quite soon. But loved your dad, loved working with him, and just a true pro. But more importantly, as I stated last night, as good a broadcaster he was a better man, a better person, a better father.
I appreciate that
out
very
of the
much,
booth.
guys.
All right, Mark, take care in this tough time.
Thank you, Zo.
Thanks for calling.
All right, Mark. Mark Santos, son of Gil Santos, joining us here on Zolak and Bertrand. We've got phone lines filled up. A lot of people want to share their memories of Gil Santos, and we welcome that. We will get to that next.
Zo and the Beetle, 98.5 The Sports Hub.